Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, the Horror Boy. Welcome back to some more reviews, and today we're ready to Maniac, which came out in 1980, gets a 6.5 on IMDb, and was written by William Lustig. Now, Maniac is a film that I rewatched recently, mainly because I finally found a DVD of this movie. I don't know why, but for a minute there, it was kind of hard to find this movie, even on DVD. I know it's kind of hard to find it on Blu-ray, kinda, and Blue Underground, big fan of them. They do a great job on DVDs and Blu-rays. I mean, they always put a lot of care and effort into their DVDs and Blu-rays. And this has some decent features. I mean, you have a commentary, you have trailers, TV spots, radio spots. You actually have two commentaries. So you have two commentaries, decent amount of features for this movie. And Maniac from 1980 is a film that, rewatching it again, I absolutely love. Now, I remember I watched this movie a while ago, actually, the first time I seen this movie. First time I watched this film was probably a year or two ago. And I remember really enjoying it back then, but this time around, I don't know if it's because it was remastered. Like, it says a 4K restoration. Again, I don't know how you can get 4K on a DVD, because DVD cannot run 4K. It can't even run a regular Blu-ray, so, like, I'm pretty sure it can't get 4K. But it looks pretty damn good on DVD. This DVD especially. And if it looks if it looks this good on DVD, I can just imagine how it looks on Blu-ray. I mean, I bet it probably looks absolutely, spectacular on Blu-ray. But Maniac is a film that, first of all, I love that poster. That's easily one of my favorite horror film posters out there. It's a film that, revisiting it again, I liked it even more this time. It was one of those films where I noticed a little bit more things about it that I absolutely loved. Like, first of all, in the past, I said that Joe Spinell was just, he's pretty good. I don't know why I said that. I think Joe Spinell, watching it this time, does a fucking amazing job playing the Maniac. And Joe Spinell is just such a great actor. Unfortunately, I think he passed away not long after this film because they wanted to do a sequel. The director didn't want to do a sequel, but I know that Joe Spinell and a few others were really dead set on getting the sequel out there. And the sequel would have been great. The sequel would have been awesome. Because there's actually, if you look on YouTube, there's a 7 or 8 minute promo of Maniac. It's called Maniac 2. I want to say it's like something like Mr. Robbie or something like that. But Maniac 2 is going to be starring Joe Spinell, and it was going to be a completely new story, a completely new Maniac. And it's going to be about this guy who has this kids' TV show, and the kids will call in, and their parents are, like, beating them and abusing them. And I guess the character in the movie was going to be, like, killing these abusive parents. A very interesting idea. But unfortunately, Joe Spinell passed away right before that was made, so we didn't get a Maniac 2. But that would have been a very cool idea. And if you watch that trailer, I might link it in the description below if I can remember it. But if you watch that trailer, it's kind of reminds me of with its atmosphere and its grittiness of Joker. Just the way that it was done. There's even the same shot of him putting the makeup on in front of the mirror with a cigarette. Just the whole thing reminded me of Joker. Just screamed Joker. Just, again, I might link it in the description below. It's a really, really cool clip. If you guys want to, you guys go check it out. Really got some strong Joker vibes from that. I wonder if they got some inspiration from that little clip. But yeah, Joe Spinell in this movie is absolutely breathtaking. I mean, his performance really is. I mean, I'm not even over exaggerating that. His performance in this movie is creepy. And for those wondering about the remake, I do want to review the remake one day, but I gotta rewatch it again, so I'll probably end up getting a DVD or a Blu-ray of it. eventually, and I'll review the remake, because this is one of those examples of horror films, very rare examples, where the remake and the original are on the same level. They're both amazing films in their own ways. And the remake draws some inspiration from the original movie. I mean, it is a remake, but the remake was done, I thought, differently enough to where it was its own movie. And I kind of wish more remakes would do what Maniac did, what Child's Play did, you know. Instead of just making the same old thing, just remaking it and just ripping it off. I wish I wish more remakes would take chances, I guess you could say. But yeah, I love the remake as well. And I think the lead in that movie does a great job as well. Elijah Wood playing the Maniac in that film. He did amazing as well. But Joe Spinell in this movie is a guy who is just really creepy. And he can also be, like I mentioned, the Stepfather review I did. He can be this creepy, maniac, crazy guy. But at the same time, he can be this, kind of a cool character. He's kind and nice. He'll talk to this love interest. I think it's Caroline Monroe playing the Anna character. She's a photographer. When he talks to her, he's really polite to her. He talks to other people, and he talks like a normal person. But when the maniac mode kicks in, it's absolutely creepy. And the movie, basically, you have Joe Spinell running around New York, I believe, and he's basically killing people. He is tracking down women and stalking them, killing them, and scalping them. And I know when this movie came out, it was very controversial because it was him going after women, scalping them, and stalking them. And I know that when it came out, it got a lot of controversy. Which, I mean, part of me can understand, but at the same time, the ending is the retribution of the women, where the ghosts are in his mind and they tear him to pieces. So they don't really get their revenge because it's all in his head, but they put that in there as kind of a retribution scene. But I guess it is a little, I don't know. It was very controversial back then. I know that for a fact. And I can see kind of where they were coming from, but again, they put a lot of scenes in there that I thought were, and it wasn't like it was totally over. I don't know. It was just really controversial when it came out. But yeah, I think the acting is great. I mean, you have Joe Spinell going around killing people, and one of the people he kills is actually, he does kill Tom Savini, so that's a pretty gory death scene, and I'll get into the death scenes more in depth in a minute. But he meets this girl named Anna, likes her, he tells her that he's a painter, he's an artist. They begin to date. Eventually they go and visit the cemetery, and he tries to kill her, but she's the only one to escape. And you have, throughout the movie, these scenes that I thought were done. I will say this, the one thing I'll say about this movie over the remake is, I think this movie does a great job of showing the maniac, like it focuses on the maniac. It's all about him alone, talking to himself, the grunting, the heavy breathing, the POV stalking shots. A lot of it is really Joe Spinell's performance. Just him in his room talking to himself and talking to his mother in his head, and he's crying. And I really thought he played a great crazy guy. And in the remake, it was more about him going out and killing people. Like, you didn't really get a lot of scenes of him at his house going crazy, talking to his mom. So I will give points to this movie for that. I mean, this movie has a lot more of the psychological stuff to the Maniac, where creepy idea of him taking mannequins and nailing, scalps to the mannequins, and it's bloody. The scalping scenes are intense and gory as hell. The gore is on point. I believe the special effects were by Tom Savini. Believe so. Yeah, Tom Savini. Makeup effects. But, I thought that the effects were just beautiful. All the effects looked wonderful. You have a lot of gore and a lot of blood in there. I thought the atmosphere, which again, I'll say this one has a better atmosphere than the remake. The remake is a very polished, very neon, very modern, and I really like that movie's look too. It's a very neon look. It's very 2012, but not in a bad way. It looks great. But the original, I thought, had a wonderful, gritty New York atmosphere. And I believe it was New York. If it's not New York, then I forgot where it's at, but I do believe it's in New York. And, I mean, there's just garbage everywhere. It's dark. It's, rainy. It's just trash everywhere. It's very foggy, misty, dark atmosphere that I thought was absolutely wonderful. I mean, like I said, the atmosphere is just beautiful in this movie. It's directed very well by William Lustig. A lot of great shots, POV shots. It's, the scenes that I think of the most are just, the subway sequence where this girl is being stalked by this character and she's running through the entire place. A good suspense as well. And I think the great thing about this movie, too, is that it's great with its gore, and it's great with its special effects, but it doesn't totally rely on gore. It's still about build-up. It's still about the suspense. It's still about keeping the audience on the edge of their seat. And I respect that, because it could have been just, oh, gore, 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 gore. Like when you watch Pieces, it's great gore, but I wouldn't say it's very suspenseful, even though I love Pieces. Or if you watch, I don't know, I can think of a million gory slasher, like low-budget slasher films that just really rely on the gore. Here, it's low-budget as well, but it's more atmospheric and suspense-driven, and then when a kill does happen, it's done with great special effects. Not only getting the suspense, but you're also getting the gory kills, which is really awesome. I mean, that's the best of both worlds. I mean, really, that's great. And also, it's a little bit of a psychological horror film, because you're seeing Joe Spinell's character just losing his mind and talking to himself. The Frank Zito character in this movie is very creepy, so you have a little bit of a psychological aspect to the film. But the actors also did great jobs. I mean, not only did Joe Spinell and Caroline Munro do their great jobs as well, but the rest of the cast. I mean, I really didn't think there was any bad actors or actresses in here. I mean, Abigail Clayton, Kelly Piper, Rita Montone, Tom Savini even did a decent job as far as acting goes. And I mean, the movie is just well done. A lot of it is just stalk and kill, slow build, suspense. There's only one problem that I can really think of right now. It's probably there's probably two little things. But one I can say did kind of bother me was around the halfway point of the movie, it does get slow because it's a build-up to the cemetery. And when they get there, he goes crazy. But it just got a little bit slow. I will say that. And I guess I can give points to the remake because the remake felt consistent with the entire movie, whereas this one, the third act got a little slow. I will say that. But that's the only, I guess, problem I can say is it kind of got a little slow at the end of the movie. The other thing that I really noticed was it has a sequel bait ending, which, again, I believe the sequel was going to be a different Maniac. At least I believe it was. I don't remember if... Maybe I'm wrong, but I remember something about it being a new story. Maybe it was Frank Zito, but I don't know. Maybe it was a different Maniac. But the movie had a sequel bait ending. The movie pretty much sets up a sequel. And you're kind of wondering, because this guy's bleeding out of his like shoulder. He got a really deep gash in his shoulder, and the cops go there. And I get it's a low budget. It's like, oh, it's a slasher film, but the cops go there. They find his house. He's laying there bleeding, and they just walk out and close the door. It's like Black Christmas from 1974. It's like, man, like these cops just leave people there. It's like, I don't think that ever really happened. But of course, he wakes up and you have the title Maniac, and there was gonna be a part 2 being made, but it didn't get made, unfortunately. But those are only really 2 things. Besides that, the movie is just a great film. It's a fantastic horror film. Gore, atmosphere, beautiful cinematography, a lot of great camera work, direction, writing, characters, especially the Frank Zito character and the Anna character. It's a great film. It's a great horror film. Also, the music. The music to me was very creepy. It's not really a score that has like a main theme song and it's a very loud score. It's one of those like really low scores, like not a lot of big parts of the score. It's very much just droning type score. Like it's a very hard to describe. It's a very subdued score. A lot of just low tones and music and stuff, but it sounds great. The music was very well done. And Joe Spinell, rest in peace, Joe Spinell, great actor. Joe Spinell is easily one of my favorite actors out there. I thought his cameo in Taxi Driver was pretty cool. He was in Rocky and Rocky 2. I know I seen him in one other movie as well, but I can't think of it right now. I know he was in even more movies. But yeah, Joe Spinell, rest in peace, great actor, did a fantastic job in this role. And you could tell he loved making this movie. I mean, he put a lot of effort into this role. And he was down to do a sequel. So you could tell he was into it. He loved doing these kind of films. He loved doing horror films. I don't know if he did too many of them, but you could tell when he did this film, he really loved the concept and the idea that he wanted to do a sequel. So that's very cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I really love this film. It's a great movie. I'm going to give it probably an 8. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's a great watch. Very, very atmospheric and dark and gritty and just a very grimy movie. Very sleazy, grimy movie. And it's just done wonderfully. But anyways, guys, my review on Maniac. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this film in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I warned you to go out tonight. Dun, dun, dun. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my review on Maniac. I hope you guys enjoyed. The Explorer of Horror is out. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.